This hit harder than anyone expected. Overnight, entire neighborhoods in California vanished beneath floodwaters as an unstoppable atmospheric river slammed the coast, forcing officials to order urgent evacuations. Highways disappeared, power grids failed, and river levels shattered records. Yet this storm is only beginning. What exactly transformed a river in the sky into a statewide emergency, and why do experts warn the next hours may decide everything? A river in the sky sounds like science fiction, but for California it is a regular force of nature. Meteorologists call it an atmospheric river, a long, narrow band of moisture streaming thousands of miles from the tropics straight toward the west coast. Imagine a conveyor belt in the atmosphere carrying water vapor equal to more than 25 Mississippi rivers combined. When this band makes landfall, all that moisture is squeezed out as rain, sometimes enough to soak entire regions in just hours. The key to understanding this phenomenon is something called integrated vapor transport, called IVT. IVT measures how much water vapor is moving through the atmosphere at any one time. The higher the IVT, the more intense the storm. On satellite images, an atmospheric river appears as a ribbon of dense, bright color stretching from the Pacific and aimed directly at California's coastline. The National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration meteorologists describe it as a fire hose of Pacific moisture, capable of unleashing weeks' worth of rain in a single event. These rivers in the sky are often only a few hundred miles wide, but can stretch for thousands of miles, channeling moisture with relentless efficiency. The current system is classified by its IVT. When those numbers spike above 750 kilograms per meter per second, forecasters know the risk for flooding and landslides climbs sharply. This is the metric experts use to gauge just how much water is on the move and how much could come pouring down. One National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration expert puts it simply. This is not just a rainstorm, it is a pipeline delivering water from the tropics straight to our doorstep. Forecasters sounded the alarm as soon as the numbers started coming in. Integrated vapor transport readings climbed above 750 kilograms per meter per second, enough to place this storm firmly in the strong to extreme category. That level of moisture in the atmosphere is rare, and it means the system can unload several inches of rain in just a matter of hours. But it was not just about how much water was in the air. The core moisture axis that usually sweeps inland and moves on stalled over central and southern California. Instead of passing quickly, the rain bands lingered, pulsing overhead and dropping wave after wave of heavy precipitation. Over 3 days, many regions recorded 2 to 4 inches of rain, with some mountain and coastal slopes seeing even higher totals. The freezing level stayed unusually high, so instead of snowpack building up in the Sierra, most of that water rushed straight down as runoff. Soil moisture sensors across the state showed the ground was already close to saturation before the heaviest rain even started. With nowhere for the water to go, rivers and streams began to rise rapidly, and every new downpour increased the risk of flash flooding and landslides. Meteorologists tracked the stalling rain bands using satellite and radar, watching as the same communities were hit repeatedly. The combination of a stalled moisture axis, saturated soils, and high-intensity rainfall created a perfect setup for widespread flooding. For scientists, these were the warning signs that this was not just another winter storm. It was an event with the potential for real disaster. A family in Ventura County scrambles to pack their car as muddy water creeps up the curb. The mother clutches a backpack of essentials, her phone buzzing with another alert. They leave just minutes before the street behind them turns into a river. In a nearby school gym, rows of cots fill quickly, turning the space into an emergency shelter. Children are wrapped in blankets and volunteers hand out bottled water and sandwiches. The crowd grows by the hour. Many evacuees arrived with little more than the clothes they wore, driven out by rising water or the threat of a hillside giving way. Across the state, emergency crews work through the night. On Highway 99, north of Fresno, 2 vehicles sit half-submerged, headlights flickering in the downpour. Firefighters wade into waist-deep water, battling both current and debris. 4 motorists are pulled to safety, shaken but unharmed. One rescuer, soaked and shivering, says they do this because every life counts. Power outages ripple across neighborhoods from Santa Barbara to Stockton. Utility maps show thousands in the dark, without heat and unable to charge a phone or check the latest updates. In shelters, people share news and comfort, trading stories of narrow escapes and neighbors who knocked on doors to spread the word. Community organizers and church leaders work side by side, making sure everyone, no matter what language they speak, knows where to go for help. For many, the hardest part is not knowing when they will be able to return home or what they will find when they do. Inside the State Operations Center, the atmosphere is tense and focused. Cal OES emergency managers sit before a wall of live river telemetry, every gauge and rainfall sensor feeding into a constantly shifting map. In the early hours, new ensemble forecast runs arrive. NOAA models now show the core of the atmospheric river stalling over saturated basins. Rainfall is not moving out as expected. The polygons on the evacuation map expand, first by a few blocks, then by entire neighborhoods. A senior Cal OES manager leads the call. She points to the latest river data, the Russian River at Guerneville and the San Joaquin at Vernalice, both forecast to crest near major flood stage. Another update flashes. Levee projects in Pajaro, Yolo Bypass, and Star Bend are still unfinished. According to the Department of Water Resources, 3 miles of the Pajaro River levee remain under temporary protection. In Yolo County, critical slope reinforcements are incomplete. The risk is not theoretical. These are the very stretches flagged in last month's audit as vulnerable if hit by a major storm. The decision is made to widen the evacuation polygons. The manager speaks with steady authority, saying, "We are erring on the side of caution. If a levee fails here, we could lose entire blocks in minutes." County officials are briefed and alerts go out in English and Spanish. Local organizers are filling gaps where official channels struggle. Resource teams are repositioned to levee hotspots. Sandbags and pumps are on standby. The evacuation zones now cover areas that, on paper, should have been protected by finished projects. As rainfall totals climb, every update to the polygons reflects not just model data, but the real-world consequences of unfinished infrastructure. For those in the expanded zones, the warning is clear. Leave now, while you still can. Rivers across California are rising fast. The numbers on the gauges tell the story. The San Joaquin River at Vernales is cresting at 18.2 feet, just below major flood stage. The Russian River at Guerneville is forecast to reach 17.3 feet. The Sacramento River in the state capital is pushing past 26 feet. At Healdsburg, the Russian River stands at 16.1 feet, and the Santa Ynez River is climbing toward 14.7 feet. In Southern California, the Santa Ana River at Riverside is at 13.8 feet, and the Los Angeles River near Sepulveda is holding at 11.4 feet. Officials are watching these thresholds closely. If rainfall continues, even a few more inches could tip rivers into major flood territory, threatening neighborhoods that have never seen water this high. Every new reading from these gauges triggers fresh warnings. The next surge could mean entire communities must move out, sometimes with only minutes to spare. On steep hillsides scarred by fire, the ground has become dangerously unstable. A USGS geologist explains that even half an inch of rain in 15 minutes can trigger a debris flow where vegetation is gone and soils repel water. In these burn zones, mud and rock can sweep downhill with almost no warning, blocking roads and threatening homes in minutes. The California Geological Survey has flagged neighborhoods below the Palisades and Eaton burns as high risk, and alerts go out whenever rainfall rates approach these low thresholds. Meanwhile, major highways like Interstate 5 and the Pacific Coast Highway face another kind of strain. Floodwaters, debris, and soft ground can undermine roadbeds, while power grids and water systems are pushed to their limits by outages and blocked access. Emergency planners warn that a single landslide or road collapse could cut off entire communities, making every alert a potential lifeline. California now faces more atmospheric rivers each decade, a trend NOAA confirms will accelerate as the planet warms. Preparedness is no longer optional. It is survival. Every warning, every choice matters. The next storm is not a question of if, but when and how we respond will define us.